Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous. Don't forget to smile as you look radiant as you are the queen of your Nile. Wake up, beautiful. It's time to spread your wings. Open up your window. Hear the bluebirds as they sing.
Welcome to Good Morning Gorgeous, your Saturday morning dose of inspiration. I am Sharonda Steele, and
I'm yours truly, Larissa Williams.
And we are just so excited for another episode on this podcast for you. Today is I look at today as like a special kind of a conversation. As I was preparing for today, I remember a few years ago, before I decided to go natural with my own hair, I remember my hair was falling out in just clumps. Every time I washed it, it would blow dry. If the bathroom floor would be full of hair, I had to remove all the rugs just to wash and dry my hair. And baldness runs in our family. Mm-hmm. So I was so afraid. I remember being really, really afraid. And I remember one day I was in the bathroom and I was just sweeping up hair. And I was crying like, Lord, what is happening? I don't know what was happening. I couldn't figure it out. And later I was talking to someone and they said, maybe it's all the products and the heat and everything you put in your hair, just go natural and see what happens. And I didn't tell them that baldness run in my family. But I decided to go natural, not because I had this big epiphany on hair and all this other stuff, but I really went natural out of desperation and fear for me because I thought that I was going bald.
Right.
So in preparing for today, I was thinking about how I felt in that moment. But then we have so many women, like countless others, who had that same feeling, but they didn't have the option of go natural and it'll all grow back. It'll be healthier again.
Right.
For them, the hair never came back. So, as I thought about today and having you on, I want to just thank you for coming on, to be completely honest, because it takes a lot of courage and strength to be able to come on and share your story, living with alopecia. Right. And how that has kind of morphed, though, in this really great way, right?
Surprisingly.
We're going to talk about a little bit later. But I've been following your story for a really, really long time, longer than probably what people realize. And we'll talk about that probably a little bit later too. But I do want to just say thank you for coming on today, because this takes a lot of courage and strength. And I know it took you a while to come out of your shell where you could actually show. So thank you for coming on. And
thank you for having me.
For talking with us today. So let me first just say who we have here. Ivriya Grace.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've been saying the wrong name for like forever because I was reading it the way I wanted to read it.
That's
not
okay.
What it was really said. So Ivriya Grace is here joining us today to talk about living with alopecia and how that has morphed into an incredible opportunity to start modeling. So we are excited to have you here today. Thank you so much. Why don't we just start off with just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
How did we get from, can I say your real name?
Sure.
How did we get from Ivy Nicole to Ivriya Grace? Just tell us a little bit about that.
Good morning, gorgeous. Thank y'all for having me. I am Ivriya Grace, originally Ivy Nicole. I am 45 years old. I'm a mother of 4, a grandmother of 2 amazing little girls, and I have alopecia. I have actual scarring alopecia, and I am an aspiring bald model. January this year, I decided to step into the modeling world, and I thought, let's do this in our bald crown. Let's give it a try and see. And it started out as just a way to try to embrace the condition itself. I've had it for 17 years. I was initially diagnosed back in 2005. But prior to that, I had started having hair loss when I was 20. Just kind of thought maybe it was related to stress and things of that nature. So I really didn't pay much attention to it or think much of it, just tried to do little things to hide it and cover it up and just kind of went on with life. But as years went on, it more and more started to fall out. So finally, I went to a doctor's that I was actually working for. He tried some treatments and then referred me out to a dermatologist, and things just kind of took off from there. They did testing and things like that, and then we got the official diagnosis. So July 2005 is when I was officially diagnosed, and things just kind of, I won't say took a downward spiral from there, but kind of a downward spiral in a little bit, because once the diagnosis set in, it was almost like instant. The hair started falling out more, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is not what I expected. He did tell me at the time when the pathology report came back that it was end stage scarring alopecia. So there was so much scar damage and scar tissues that regrowth would never be possible for me. So it just kind of got worse over the years. And this year, last year I turned 45, and I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of living in fear. I literally said to myself, honey, you too old to be scared to walk around worried about what people think. So I said, well, let's give this a try. And yeah, we started January 16th. I had a first interview with the modeling agency. I told my kids, this is something we're going to try and see how we do. And things just kind of took off from there. So that's how we got started in it. And it's just kind of taken on a life of its own for sure. So, but it's been interesting. It's been a huge growth process for me.
Mm-hmm.
I am able to do and have done things that I would have never in a million years ever considered doing or stepping into, or even this podcast with you ladies this morning. You could not have told me that I'm going to be in front of a camera with no hair on my head for people to see me. That just doesn't happen. So it's definitely been a life-changing 10 months, so 11 months. And I'm grateful for everything that's taken place thus far, and just kind of excited about the things to come. So
I want to say congratulations to you, because it takes courage, and you have a beautiful smile that's shining through. So, when people, and like, this is my first time officially meeting you,
mm-hmm.
and I don't see that. I see this beautiful woman sitting before me with courage and strength.
Thank you.
That's what I see. And I'm an emotional creature, okay? Because I will tell
She'll
you.
probably start crying.
That's okay.
We got to get her some Good Morning Gorgeous tissues to keep at her.
Yes, but that's what I feel, and that's what I see in you. A courageous African-American woman with beauty, strength, and courage. So congratulations to you.
Thank you
for
so much.
Finally stepping out and walking into who you are.
Yes.
At
yes,
this very,
ma'am.
At this very stage and at this age in your life.
Yes, ma'am.
Because, I think for most African-American women, we get set in our ways at a certain, and then when something new comes about, it takes prayer, first of all.
Yeah.
That's it takes a lot of prayer in order to step into something totally new.
Mm-hmm.
But when we have people surrounding us,
yes,
that gives us that encouragement to say, go for it.
Go for it.
That helps even more.
Yeah.
So congratulations to you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And I don't know, I didn't say this in an early introduction, but we're actually cousins.
Okay.
First cousin.
Yes, ma'am.
And you know how when you're younger and you're growing up, you have like best cousin. That's my best. That's what we were growing
That's
up.
what we were growing up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I share my story a lot, and I think we're going to talk about this later on the podcast, but when I talk about moving from Chicago to Michigan, I actually moved with their family. And that's
Okay.
where I lived until I graduated high school. So, you know, for us, it was more than just cousins. We all became much more like sisters, to be honest.
Under the same household,
I
absolutely.
remember, we lived in the same house, fought, cried, everything.
It was,
I used to braid hair a lot before the carpal tunnel started to sit in. I remember braiding your hair.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have these little sores. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And I would braid it to try to cover it up.
They would bleed.
They would bleed.
Mm-hmm. And we never knew.
I still remember that. It would be like little puffs. And sometimes it would bleed while we were trying to cover it up.
And we never knew.
We never knew.
Never had a clue that that's what this was.
We never knew that something was happening.
Yeah.
We just knew, okay, we'll braid it, we'll fix it up, we'll try to cover it up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had no clue that
at all.
Something else was going on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when we were that young, see, back in the day, nobody talked about it.
No.
Nope.
You know, nobody talked about it. It wasn't known back then.
Yeah,
if it was known, it was kept hush hush. Nobody mentioned what it was, or it had never been diagnosed with it when you were very young.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm just, you know, time changes things.
That's for sure.
Time
and I'm so grateful for time, because while it was a definitely emotional roller coaster all those times and all those years ago, I know had it not been for those, I wouldn't be able to comfortably sit here with you all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just something you just don't openly show people. You don't openly talk about with people. So thank God for time, because
yeah, and I think because so often as women, just women in general, like we almost kind of define ourselves based on our hair, how we look, like we, you know, a lot of women take a lot of pride in getting their hair fixed up and doing this and doing that. So whenever that piece of you leaves, it's like, wait a minute, something has happened to me. Like, am I less of this? Am I that? You know, like, so I can see where a lot of women would be questioning themselves. And I was watching a show the other night. It's with Tracy Ellis Ross talking about the hair. And I forget the woman's name. I think she was once political office.
Ayanna Pressley. Yes.
And she said something was, and you know, about that show, I have my own kind of ideas about that. We can talk about that. That could be a whole other conversation for another podcast about that show. But with one of the things that she said that really stuck out is you don't have to have hair to wear a crown.
Right.
I know it's right.
It really made me think of you when she said it. I actually have you seen this? Because that was so true, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, hair doesn't define who we are. You don't have to have hair to wear a crown. And I think you and so many other the folks that live with alopecia are showing that.
Yeah.
I think being able to become a model, right, in your baldness, that right there is going to speak volumes for others that are dealing with this thing, that are struggling and trying to figure it out.
Right.
Okay, she's done it.
Right.
I can be okay with shit part of myself too.
Yeah. Surprisingly, that has unexpectedly taken place. Like, that's why I said when I got into the modeling, initially it was a more personal thing. I was trying to embrace it. And I said, well, let's see, I want to be in a magazine. That was it. That was my goal. I wanted to be in a magazine. That's why I started it. That's what we were headed out to do. But it, like I said, it took on a life of its own. And then I joined this group, Alopecia Sisters. I never in a million years would imagine so many women who have this condition. And whose story was so similar to mine, whose depression, whose sadness, whose ups and downs, it was so similar. And I'm just like, wow, I was literally blown away. And apparently my modeling and my trying to build my own confidence has become an inspiration to them. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
So getting into it, I have no intentions of being inspiring to anyone, but it seemed to take on a life of its own. And I think I'm more grateful for that part, because now we have this little family almost.
Yeah.
And it's a really, really great support system. And it's definitely needed when you're going through something like this. When we're going through anything, but anything like this, I was just like, where have these people been all my life? You know what I mean? For 17 years, I literally suffered, unfortunately, in silence, by myself, in hiding. I literally hid from a partner that I was in a relationship with, because of that image we have as women. You know, our hair is your crown jewel and things of that nature. And once I started losing mine, I'm like, okay, what is happening here? I didn't understand it. I was afraid. I was depressed. I really felt moments where I was not beautiful at all. And that broke my spirit, and unfortunately did lead to like a depression almost. So it's definitely been challenging, but where I am now versus where I was before, I can look back and go, what? You was worried about that? So I can't believe you was worried about stuff like that. And I never wanted to seem like I was vain.
Right.
Or that it was all about vanity and things like that, because it never was. There was no hair. And I'm like, so that was really hard. So, but.
And since then, like, okay, so I'll say this too. I can almost see you doing a shirt.
Yeah.
With
I'm actually working on a shirt.
Well, you have a maker, you have somebody right here, Bluegrass Designs.
Really?
Yes, absolutely.
That's so awesome.
Y'all need to talk, but I can almost see like you having something, and you can almost sell merch, but because so much is happening now. So,
yeah.
And I can't even keep up with all the numbers in terms of the number of magazines.
Yeah.
Where are you right now with all of this?
With all of the modeling?
Yes.
Right now, I was just featured in 2 magazines that are out of Paris, France.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, does that make me international now?
Oh yes. Yes. Yes,
So,
it does.
I was recently featured in 2 magazines, Gimaro magazine and Genzo magazine. I just this past September got to go to California for the very first time, and I went in my bald crown. And I got to go and we met Tyra Banks, and we got to participate in her model land, be a model for a day. So it's definitely been exciting. It's been scary. It's been nerve-wracking, but it's been encouraging for me. It's been motivating for me. It's helping me embrace it even more now.
Yeah.
And since then, I can actually honestly, for the first time ever in my life, say I feel more attractive, and I've never felt more sexy than I have in my bald crown than I ever had with hair. Yeah. And that in itself, I was just like, thank you, Lord. Because it took so long to get there, and I never thought I would. I honestly never thought I would. So it's become a little bit bigger than the modeling for me, because now it's a personal, internal thing now.
Yes.
And I'm loving it. I absolutely loving it. I'm not big yet or famous yet, which is fine, because like I said, when it took a turn towards you're empowering women, and women are looking to you, and you're an inspiration to women. Yes. It became so much bigger than modeling.
Yeah.
And I love that. I work in healthcare, and I'm a CMA, so I take pride and joy in helping people feel better
Yeah.
or having a hand in that.
Yeah.
And now on this end of it, outside of that, I'm encouraging people and helping people feel better about themselves. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this has been my, it just kind of makes sense. It's a full circle now.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it and enjoying it and just kind of relishing in the moment of it all.
So you talked about your grandbabies.
Yes.
What do they think of your bald head?
I was worried at first because I didn't know babies are, they can only go off of what they see because they're new to this world.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how they would look at me. I didn't know if they would be afraid of me and things like that, but they don't look at me any different. They just smile and they see Glammy. That's all they see. They don't care whether or not I have hair or not. My little 2-year-old, she is at the point now where she's learning to mimic things and she's learning make-believe. So she has moments where she's make-believing like she's doing my hair.
Oh.
And I absolutely love it. Like it's the cutest.
Does she be sitting on your hair like?
Yes, like and she's just got her little comb, thank God it's the baby brush.
Right.
So, because that would be awful, but she has her little baby brush and she just combs every now and then, or she'll kiss it and it's just, I can relax and just be Glammy. I don't have to worry about what's on my head or if I'm afraid or if they're afraid, or I can just be Glammy and enjoy being their grandmother. So they love it and I love that they love it. So I'm sure they'll have questions as they get older, but being that they're growing up with it now and they're seeing it, they'll be used to it. So I'm excited for it.
Well, with this experience, let me make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Ivriya.
Yes, ma'am.
The question that I have for you now, with what you have experienced, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners and viewers today about your overall experience dealing with your alopecia and your modeling?
I would probably, if there's something that you are adamant about, it's something you're passionate about, something you absolutely have always wanted to do, or something that you are currently doing, give it your all, but don't let fear or your worries or concerns of how other people will see you or what other people will think of you, don't let those things stand in your way. I did that for entirely too long, literally for 17 years. And thinking about that now, had I not allowed fear to be in my way, I could have been, way so much further possibly. And that's okay, because like I said, it's a growth process, and I have definitely grown in it, but don't allow anything or anyone to stand in your way, especially self. My issue was self. It wasn't that other people were judging me or other people were talking about me or mimicking or, pointing and staring. Of course, there were the stares, but it all came from within me. I was worried about, are they staring at me, or are they going to smirk at me, or are they going to think these things? And pretty much people really never even cared, probably. It was all me. So don't allow anything, especially our fear that we carry within ourselves, to keep you from doing anything. I've always been very shy. I've always been really quiet. I was always the quiet kid. Being in front of an audience was a no-no for me. Like
I would say this really quick. I remember we sang in our church choir. Your first solo.
Yeah.
You were sitting down on the floor behind the pew singing.
Yes.
No one could see her face.
Yeah.
In the choir singing. They could hear her.
Right.
She was sitting on the floor. So you are right about that.
Yeah, it was just, I would literally break out in hives because I was so afraid to be front and center or people to see me. And now I'm just like, hey, here I am in all of my glory, and I love it. And I've never felt, like I said, I've never felt more beautiful, and not a physical beautiful, because now my inside beautiful matches the outside. You know what I mean?
Yes,
So I get
yes,
to be you beautiful type
Yes.
thing. So
yes.
if I was to give any advice to anybody, just be you, enjoy you, live for you, and don't worry about what other people think or what other people are going to say or trying to impress other people. I lived for so long trying to do that, and it's just took me a while to get here. Now that I'm finally here, I'm loving it, but you don't have to go 17 years to get there. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes.
So I just believe in yourself, keep pushing forward, and do you, be you, and love you.
What is that saying on your shirt? Be you for
Be
you.
you. Yep. Do you, be you, for you.
Yes, I've seen that several times. I love that. I actually have used that before, and it helps me a lot in this. Even doing this, I can see the inspiration that it's taken in my own children, in their lives. And I got young adults, and 20s are hard for you. And them being able to see mom giving it her all, and mom doing this, and mom not being afraid to go out there and try to tackle things, it's inspiring to them even. And that just fills my heart so much, because I always want to make sure that I'm a good role model for them. And now mom's empowering her own kids. She's inspiring them too. They look to me and they're proud. And that is the absolute best feeling ever. I could not even ask for anything more than that. So
that's awesome. Well,
yeah,
again, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank y'all.
This has been I think important conversation that needs to be had. And I think that the more and more women that is hearing voices and from women like you, and that's being empowered in their skin, no matter what is happening.
Absolutely.
Having that inward, right? That inward feeling of knowing that you're enough.
Yes.
Showing it on the outside and letting it shine regardless of whether you have hair or not, whatever is going on. So I thank you so much for being here today. And as we always say with Good Morning Gorgeous, find yourself,
believe in yourself,
and love yourself.
Love yourself.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much.
Bye. Thank you to all the viewers. You guys have a great Saturday.
Thank you.
Bye.